5 people who died to get what they wanted. It's normal to hear somebody passionate about a reason or objective state they would give their life for it. Be that as it may, for certain individuals set some things in motion by making their passing a piece of the arrangement. Coming up next are 10 instances of individuals who accomplished their objectives with their own death. Number 1. Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr had a long history or hatred paving the way to their pivotal duel. The Federalist initially came to hate Burr when he crushed his dad-in-law for a seat in the U.S. Senate. He would utilize his impact to obstruct Burr's political desires on a few additional events, further developing the resentment between the two. The relationship would decline until one day Burr provoked Hamilton to a duel. The two warriors met on the morning of July 11, 1804. Hamilton shot first, however missed. Burr at that point made his effort, and hit his rival, perpetrating a lethal injury. It is theorized that Hamilton deliberately missed his shot with the expectation of destroying Burr. In the event that this was his point, at that point he accomplished it, as the duel adequately finished the man's political profession. Number 2. Lasantha Wickremesinghe. Being a writer in Sri Lanka can be a hazardous calling, and nobody knew this better than Lasantha Wickremesinghe. He had confronted dangers and badgering for all intents and purposes from the earliest starting point of his vocation. During one noteworthy episode, he and his significant other were pulled from their vehicle and beaten with clubs. Things got so awful that his significant other took their 3 kids to live in Australia for their own well-being. In no time before his passing he expressed, "When at last I am killed, it will be the administration that kills me." On January 8, 2009, Wickremesinghe was gunned down on his approach to work. Be that as it may, he had foreseen his death, and had written a last publication to be distributed after death. In it, he blamed the government for utilizing death as its essential tool for controlling writers. Regardless of whether this will prompt any change in Sri Lanka is not yet clear. In any case, his demise has provoked the worldwide network to investigate press opportunity. Number 3. Charles Joseph Glynewix. Charles Joseph Joe Glynewix was a police lieutenant in Fox Lake, Illinois. On September 1, 2015, he radioed that he was seeking after 3 furnished suspects. He would later be discovered dead, and a manhunt was dispatched to discover the suspects. It wasn't long after his burial service that charges surfaced that Glynewix's demise was a self-destruction. An examination would uncover that he had been stealing from a young mentorship program for quite a while. After understanding that an impending review would uncover him, he did the main reasonable thing. He attempted to have the individual directing the review killed. When that didn't work out, he coordinated his detailed self-destruction endeavor with expectations of concealing the wrongdoing. Number 4. Thomas G. Doty. Ideally, this article isn't causing its reason to appear as though something to be imitated. In any case, in the event of some unforeseen issue, the accompanying 2 models are introduced as an update that this strategy is similarly prone to bomb succeed. Like Dwyer, Thomas Doty additionally wanted to utilize his passing to monetarily accommodate his family. Nonetheless, in contrast to Dwyer, he caused undeniably a bigger number of passings than just his own. On May 22, 1962, Doty loaded up Continental Airlines Flight 11. The flight, beginning from Chicago, could never show up at its Kansas City objective. During the flight, he went into the plane's washroom and exploded 6 sticks of explosive he had snuck installed. The subsequent accident would execute each of the 45 spirits on board. Preceding getting onto the flight, Doty had bought $300,000 in extra security. Nonetheless, when his passing was administered as self-destruction, the approaches were voided, and his widow was just granted a $3 discount. Number 5. Charles Vance Miller. An insightful man once said that a few men simply need to watch the world consume. Charles Vance Miller might not have been a scoundrel, however he was absolutely a joker. The Canadian attorney wanted to play pragmatic jokes, particularly ones that played on the eagerness of his casualties. Given that he was so devoted to his own delight, it should not shock anyone that he would utilize his passing to pull off a couple of last tricks. Miller kicked the bucket of a stroke on October 31, 1926. During the perusing of his will, various peculiar solicitations were made. For example, he left a getaway home in Jamaica to 3 men who abhorred one another, and giving offers in a pony dashing club to 2 enemy of pony hustling advocates. Yet, the most notable precept of his will is without a doubt the Great Stork Derby. In his will, Miller specified that a segment of his bequest would be given to whichever lady in Toronto had the most children in the decade following his demise. 10 years in a high legal dispute later, 4 ladies were each granted $110,000. Like, share, subscribe.